What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Though Show. It's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. What's good, y'all? What's good? Happy Friday to everybody. Let me make sure my audio and video and everything can be heard. Got a few people, waiting on my guests to come join us. Hopefully everybody's having a great Friday. We're able to start up a little early tonight. Yep. So I'm getting ready to check my audio and video and make sure that everything is everything and I can be heard. So give me 1 second. Hopefully everybody's having a great Friday. I don't know why I'm hitting the wrong button. Been sipping. Okay, so let me check. Trying to make sure we good. I don't know why I'm hitting the wrong button. Okay, there we go. So we can be heard. So here we go. So we good. We good over here. So what's good, everybody? Happy Friday. I want to say what up though to everybody over there on Facebook, everybody up there, everybody on Instagram, and everybody on YouTube. What's good? What's good? Hopefully everybody is having a great Friday leading up to this weekend. So that's good. Before we start up tonight's conversation, I'm definitely going to wait on one of my guests to come on in before I start up tonight's conversation. I see we got a few people coming in. We are closed. We are still closing down on 1,000 subscribers. So I cannot do it without you guys hitting that button. So I need for you guys to continue to hit that button, and we'll get there. Yep. So what's good, man? Hopefully, like I said, hopefully everybody's having a great Friday. We the end of the work week, getting ready to hit the weekend. A lot of people are probably going to be going to see that Transformers movie tonight. Give me your thoughts and your opinion on that. If you have already seen it, I was talking about that at work today, and a few of my coworkers are going to be seeing that movie. I have not heard about. I mean, what I've heard about it, but it's been a while since I saw. Went to the movies and saw a good movie. That's probably would be a good movie to go see at the drive-in. So like I said, shout out to my homegirl Octavia. Hopefully you get a chance to go to the drive-in with the family and enjoy that movie tonight. Like I said, it's been a minute. It's probably been over 15 years since I've been to the drive-in. And I don't know if you guys what up though, Connor the GOAT? What you know about drive-ins, man? Were you from do you guys still go to the drive-in and watch movies? I'm normally not even home from work. We got off of work today, and I was able to go. I was able to go live early. So normally I go live later than this, Connor. Yep. So you guys are catching me at an early start tonight. Because most of the times, let me see what time it is. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. I normally don't even get off of work until 11. And I have an hour drive from work. So normally I don't get here till 12 and I don't start up until at least 12:30. But it's good to hear from you, man, to see you. Connor, you're gonna have to send me your email so I can bring you up here, man. I would love to bring you in here, man, so you can chop it up with me. But either way, it's good to see you in the comment section, man. I haven't saw you in a while. But no, I'm always it's always after 12 where I'm going live unless I have an early start. Yep. So I'm just waiting on a few of my guests to come in that I sent links out before I start tonight's conversation. Yeah, man, you should. It'd be a great conversation. A great to have. I love having multiple people up here, just having multiple conversations. But most and foremost, I just love having you up here. So even if you don't want to come up here and show your face, just comment. It's all good. For sure, for sure. I try to freestyle as best as I can. Yeah. Yeah, man. So, like I said, I got a few interesting topics that I want to talk about tonight, man. Um, and I'm just like I said, I invited a few people to come in. I'm waiting on a good friend of mine, Joseph Knows, to come in. I'm waiting on your boy Big Ken to join us, and my original co-host, your boy E Skeezy, supposed to be joining us. So, I'm excited. Tonight's it should be a great conversation. Uh, I think I am, man, because I like the Spurs, man. Who you going with that series? The Spurs are looking good. So I may do that. And you called it. You said the Spurs. in the Knicks. So apparently you're going for the Spurs. I'm going with the Spurs too because you already picked it because they don't even play OKC and the Spurs don't play until tomorrow. That's who I'm going with, Connor. See, that's why I fucks with you, Connor. That's why I like you, man. But yeah, it's going to be that game tomorrow is pretty much is going to be like a game 7 of the finals of who's going to win the championship. Real talk, because they're going to run through the Knicks. The Knicks, to me, had an easy streak. Detroit would have gave them way more of a tougher battle than what Cleveland did. Cleveland was a disappointment. They didn't even deserve to beat Detroit. We got out refed. And our players, I'll just keep it real. They gave up in game 7. SGA shouldn't have gotten MVP. He's a flopper. Yeah, man. All them guys are floppers. Most of the top guys out there, they all flop. Let's just keep it real. But he's probably one of the top floppers out there. But they need to take that away and they need to start finding these guys for that flopping. But they won't. It's a part of the game. Connor the GOAT said Wemby should have gotten MVP. I agree with that, but I guarantee you after this year, once they win the championship, he'll be the MVP probably for the next 3 to 4 years. Yeah, by far. That boy got game. And listen, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm a big time Detroit fan. And I'll be honest. I follow the Pistons, but I really didn't get off into Wemby this year. I didn't realize how much of an animal that motherfucker was, and what's so great about San Antonio. I love their point guard. I love I forget his name. I can't believe I keep forgetting his name, but old boy with the dreads, that motherfucker. He's a hell of a ball player. Because I believe it's Castle. Yeah, I love Castle, man. He's a great player. But yeah, man, he'll win the next probably 2 or 3 after this. He'll probably end up winning about 5 or 6 MVPs before his career is over with, man. He's unstoppable. I didn't realize he was as fast as he was. I originally thought when he first came in the league that he was going to be a big, slow player, but he pretty much surprised me on everything, but no, he's a beast down there, man. Yeah, Castle. That's who it is, Castle. Oh my God, that boy's a beast. That's who I'm talking about. You got it. But San Antonio, man, they got an all-around great squad and young at that. And they'll be able to match their bigs up with they're gonna run through New York. This is not even gonna be a matchup. They're gonna sweep them unless the league wants it to go to a game 7, which I'm not gonna say they're doing this with the OK series. OKC just, hey, listen, they realize that they out there playing with a great team in San Antonio. Yeah, but I love Castle, man. He's a great guard. Plays big. Yep. So I'm just I'm just freestyling it until one of my guests come in before we start tonight's conversation. Connor the Goat of Subs said 154 away from 1K subs at this rate. I hope you hit 1K by August. I think you got this. No, I'll hit it way before August for sure. Yeah, for sure. But I'm starting from the bottom up, man. I'm working my way up. I have the help of you guys, all of my subscribers and everybody sharing and liking. And I just been building this from the floor up, man. I started this thing 2 years ago, maybe July, hopefully. If not, if we get it by August, that's fine. Yep. Because like I said, man, I work a full-time job. So I do this when I'm off for work. If I had a little bit more time to put into this, which I will, I have vacation time and things like that coming up. But I probably would have been there a long time ago, but I love doing this. I'm going to continue doing it. I'm going to continue to reach my goals. and just take it as slow as I need to. Really, I need to. I've been trying to find me an editor. And I've been trying to learn how to. I know how to somewhat edit, but I've been needing to find someone that can come over and help me do like with the special effects and just other stuff that I was trying to do. Which I had someone that was doing that at one point, but I need to find someone that's a little bit more accessible. In the Detroit, Toledo area. Connor the Ghost said, I am going to 7 White Sox games the next 3 weeks. So I'm going to Chicago. It's going to be fun. Also, they won today by today 5-4. Okay, awesome. Who did they play today? You're from Chicago. And then another question. Where are you from, Connor? Are you from Chicago? Or you said you're going to Chicago, so maybe you're not from Chicago. But yeah, man, that's awesome. I would have loved to go to some Chicago games. I love baseball, man. I'm an ex-baseball player. I played baseball from little league all the way through high school. Should have played it in college, but I went for football instead. Yeah, but yeah, man, baseball was my favorite sport. Besides, I played 4 sports in high school, but baseball was my first love. I'm for Iowa. They play Detroit Tigers. I don't like the Tigers. I hate the. Well, look, I'm a Tigers fan, man. I see that's where we separate. We'll have to talk about the Tigers and Indiana game. So you hold on, Iowa. Who's does Iowa have a? Well, I know Iowa doesn't have a major league team. So who? What's the team that you like? Is it Chicago? Yeah, but man, like I said, baseball was my favorite sport. Said I got for White Sox or Yankees. And what's so crazy, man? I'm a big time Yankees fan. Big time Yankees fan. Even though I'm a Detroit Tigers fan, but I love the Yankees. It's a few. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a few teams that I like and I root for. But my top teams are the Yankees, the Tigers. Um, I like Boston too, man. I like Boston. I love that Yankee Boston series. And I love the Dodgers too. And what I like about the Dodgers and the Yankees, man, no matter what, these guys, they always compete. They'll go out there and spend the money. Therefore, their team's able to be able to compete, for years at a time. I like, oh, Tony. Okay. That's what's up. But yeah, man, a lot of people um and that's why baseball is, and I believe is the American pastime. I can't, I don't want to. Hopefully, I'm quoting it right, but I love baseball. Like I said, man, I grew up. Baseball was my first sport that I fell in love with. I actually cried, because I wasn't able to make the team when they first started, and they cut the deadline off, and I cried. My mom was able to get me, on the team. I'll never forget that. I always tell that story, but yeah, man, that was the first first sport that I've ever played that was um, organized, I should say. See, you invite people to the show, man. I told everybody 11 o'clock, but I understand. It is what it is. I'm going ahead and start up the conversation in a little bit. See, kind of that's why I wish you would have came up here. Normally when I send in invites out, most people show up, but it is what it is. I understand people got things they're doing. Skeeter Man 218 said baseball is a rich kid sport now. It depends on what I agree with you because it's always been that type of sport anyway. But where I grew up, and you should know this, Skeeter Man. You're a little younger than me, but And your brother played baseball, but yeah, I played baseball all my life. It just depends on what area in Detroit you're in, because we've always had great baseball leagues, even on the east side, but majorly, mostly on the west side, but I agree. Yeah. That's where the money is anyway. Because if I had kids that play sport, I would definitely, get them off into baseball because that's where baseball, and what's the other sport? And soccer is where the money is. That's where I would want to get my kids to play. I play football where in playoffs we play 3 games Sunday. I'm good. Connor the GOAT made that comment. I'm a wide receiver and quarterback. Okay. How old are you, Connor? Yeah, because you must still be young if you doing all that, man, and you in 3 leagues. I can imagine working doing what I'm doing, and then trying to play in 3 leagues. You 14. Cut it out. You got to be older than that, man. You got to be kidding me. I'm gonna have to go look after your thing, but yeah, that's awesome, man. Hey, listen, if you are, stay with it. Baseball, like I said, I was about to say, man. I was about to say you bullshit. I was about to say you bullshitting me. I was about to say you better not be no fucking 14. But if you were, I was about to give you ratings. I remember when I aged and I played and I was playing baseball. Laughing out loud, ain't no grown man playing in more than one league. Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. Man, I would be sore as fuck trying to work, play in 3 leagues. Because baseball is it's a young man's sport. Sports is a young man's sport. And not saying that, I couldn't get out there and do it, but man, I got out there the other day and I was playing around with some kids. I was actually playing soccer with this young kid, and he put some moves on me. I'm like, I had to, kind of beef it up a little bit. I'm like, hold on, this little motherfucker ain't about to outplay me. And I had to put, my grown man skills on him. But it was one move where I bust my ass, in soccer where you trying to kick and yeah, I tried to kick the ball from him and he ended up kicking it, and I bust my ass. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, I'm too old and too big to be falling like this out here on the ground. But man, listen, I come from an athletic family. Like I said, I played actually 5 sports, but 4 sports during high school: football, basketball, baseball, and I also boxed. And I played a little bit of golf, but I wish I would have stayed at it, or I wish I would have just played more. But yeah, man, I definitely and I say this to all, youth, okay, there we go. We got Joseph Nose coming to the stage.
Can you see me?
What up, no, Joe?
What up, though?
Can you hear me? Let me turn you up some. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Now, just like I said, I was waiting on a few of my guests to come in that I invited. Been chopping it up with Connor to go of subs in the comment section. I don't know if you see the comments, but yeah, Connor, I thought that was funny, man. I was about to say you bet not been no motherfucking 14 years old. You had me going, but yeah, man, I advise everybody to get their kids early off into sports, especially baseball. I mean, I love baseball, and baseball is where the money is. You don't have a lot of contact, and you're able to put years on your body in that sport, versus like boxing, basketball, and football. Okay, Joe, I see you. I mean, I can't see you, so I don't know if I can hear you yet, but
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I clicked back in. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to do something. How's
Hold on,
everything with you today?
He helped me. Let me see. He said, yeah, Joseph was spitting facts the last time I saw him. Okay, Skeeterman 218 said you were spitting facts the last time he saw you, Joe. Yeah, and that's why I love to bring Joe up here. You know, we getting ready to have a good conversation about the topics we're getting ready to talk about. And that's why I brought Joe
I, I,
on.
I was trying to find my what's the name.
Go ahead, take your time. We ain't in no rush. I'm just
What you?
having a conversation with everybody in the chat section. Okay, I got a new comment. Connor the GOAT said, let me move that. I don't know why this thing won't let me move that out the way.
I'm trying to find my damn.
Connor the GOAT said, I'm good basketball, but I think my two boys, I think sports are baseball and football. Okay, yeah, and that's awesome. You know, so yeah, you know, definitely get them involved in sports early. You know, because my mom, I got involved in sports early. I think, and I could have gotten a little bit more involved earlier. You know, I did not start off in T-ball, but I'm starting my young one off. I got a young one. I got a 3-year-old, and we getting ready to get him started into T-ball. So, and that's how it starts. You know, you have to get them interested early. You know, because if you don't, it'll be almost like you're forcing your kids to do something that that you want them to do and that they don't want to do, so I don't want to force them. I want my kids to, want to do it. Okay, there we go, Joe. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Okay. Well, go on there and introduce yourself to the show, man.
Yeah, I know me. Joseph knows, man. The guy that everybody hates sometimes, man. They don't like when I be talking sometimes.
Yeah, well, you know
Get,
what? And sometimes, Joe, that's a good thing. Go ahead, though. My bad.
Yeah, but I have a different way of looking at things sometimes.
Okay.
And it's not always popular. And I try not to be blindly loyal to things. I try to look at things from all angles. Puts me on the wrong end of people way of thinking sometimes. So
Yeah, well, you have to, Joe. You got to be that way. You have to, think of, outside of the box. And just one of the viewers was just saying last time that you were on here, you actually had a great conversation and enjoyed, what you of the things that you had to say on the show. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and get off in tonight's conversation. But again, and first and foremost, Joe, I want to welcome you to the show. It's always an honor to have you on the show to have a great conversation. But yeah, man, recently, I just had a let me pull this thing off. Hold on, let me go back to this because this thing is irritating the shit out of me. This comment thing I can't see because this thing is in a freaking way.
Turn my yeah, I've been missing work, man. I had some things to take my son, man. This nigga, man.
Yeah, I've been seeing that, but hey, family comes first.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yep,
Comes first. You're doing a little bit too much.
And that's what I was just talking to Connor the GOAT about that. I do this sparingly. I do work a full-time job. So
yeah.
So sometimes you have to take days off and things away. That's why you got your PA days and your vacation time so that you can do things like that. But but no, man. Look, we're gonna go ahead and start up tonight's conversation. I recently did. I did a short and then I did a show on this 2026 on these prom send-offs, and you recently made some comments on Facebook, and I read that and I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a great post that you made. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Are the parents of today, and I'm not going to say today, are the parents just doing too much, and then not only just that, are they putting their child's life at risk, because we just recently had a young man who was on social media who just was sent off to prom, who was flashing wads of money, and just, flexing is what they call it, showboating, and to me, it's the parents that's, putting the money up and allowing these kids to do that. And it's just gotten out of hand, to the point where now, you have a young man that lost his life. This is supposed to be a memorable moment. And Joe, you just recently had a son that just graduated. Give me your thoughts on this whole prom send off and this shit. And what got me so fucked up about this? This shit is only going on in the Black community. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinion on this whole prom send off. In my opinion, it's got ridiculous. It's gotten outrageous. It's to the point where it almost looked like a rap video. But go ahead, Joe. Give me your thoughts on it.
So I'm not against the prom send off. I'm against the extraness of the prom send off. I have a problem with people sending off children, Black kids right now, because we at the lowest totem pole of far as economics, in every way, even from education, finance, all that, we're on the lowest or the bottom of the pole. And it's an issue where I see people doing $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to $10,000 on. It probably ain't that much. Some people it is actually, but we spend $1,000 on these send-offs, and when something happens to their kid, they need a GoFundMe. Your kids don't have health insurance. Your kids have health insurance through Medicaid. You don't have any money. You don't have life insurance, your kids, but you got enough money to buy a $1,000 prom dress, rent a vehicles. I had somebody that worked there at Chrysler said that he spent $1,200 on a rental for a Bentley, and I just thought that was the most dumbest shit I've ever seen. And so I got an issue. I got an issue with it. So
wasted.
So people would tell me, it's their money. Why you worry about what other people's money is? I got a saying that people disagree with me on, but stereotypes are not given, they are earned. And people don't get that part. Stereotypes are given. Are earned. They're not given. So when people say things about Black people, sometimes we got to live up to those stereotypes sometimes, because we are actually we earn what people think about us. We are wasteful spending. Buying Bentley trucks, knowing that you live in a project, is the most silliest stuff I've ever seen. My stepson graduated. Had a prom yesterday.
But you sending your son off in a Bentley.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous, and I'm gonna be honest, it's the most ridiculous, stupidest thing ever, for parents. Don't get me wrong. If you got the money, spend your money however you want to spend it. There's nothing wrong. And I talked about this in the show that I did yesterday. There's nothing wrong with you wanting your child to be sent off, in a fashionable way. But come on, renting a Bentley, having your kid out there with wads of money, flexing, and just some of the other things that we're going to talk about, that I saw parents set up for their kids, for these prom send off. It's ridiculous. And like you said, the money that's spent on this, half the people, I'm not going to say couldn't afford it, because apparently, they were able to afford to be able to send their child or their children off like that.
It's not that you can afford it. Do you know right now, you could have to pay Canara, whatever it's called, Zip. You can do all that to buy things. Don't mean you can afford it. So we can buy anything we want, really, because there's always a market to finance anything. But here's the issue I have. Even if you got the money to do it, responsible people with money don't do shit like that
at all. I brought that. Go ahead, Joe.
My stepson, we did a prom yesterday. She went on Amazon, ordered balloons, about 100 balloons in a bag, a big prom 2026 symbol. We put it on the house and balloons, and that was it. No chair, no king chair. You know, if you got a king chair, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing no all that dumbass making a scene coming out the door. We're not doing that dumb shit. And and listen, you want a nice picture, take a picture next to my wagon there. That's the best you're gonna get.
Right. See,
Take a picture.
listen, and don't get me wrong, because I have a sister and a brother-in-law, that actually sets up and do things for people who want to spend that money. So I'm not going to knock that, but I definitely understand what you're talking about. I'm from the old school, Joe. And maybe we're just too old school. What happened to written a tuxedo, your girl written having a nice prom dress, and maybe you the most written a limo or just a nice vehicle to take your date to the prom, and all this written Bentleys and I like I said in the show, I've never saw so many Bentleys and Corvettes at a prom send off.
So I didn't see that out here. So my son go to school out here. There's people that pretty much make the same amount of money we make. Just speaking of me and you. And guess what? I didn't see that one Bentley out there. I didn't see that not one,
Right.
nothing out there. And some of these kids driving their parents' cars, you can tell because they got license plates. That's not
Right.
a rental or fleet. These are their vehicles. Like one kid drove in there in a Jeep like we make. And that's cool. One guy dropped his son off. He has a Wagoneer, on Dubs too, though. That was real nice. But
Right.
the overall, I did not see that ghetto-ness. And people were traditional. People had on suit tux. Everybody had on tux. White people, black people, and only us got to come in the army tank. We got to be the only one doing this. I call it niggery shit. And you wonder why you wonder why when people look at us, we are looked at as a lick. People look at us as a lick
See,
because they
and
know.
before you even go any further, kind of to go, I believe I'm looking at your at your picture on YouTube. You maybe look like you're white. And he asked you a question too, Joe. He said you got on a Laker hat. He said, "Who's your favorite player?" So I want to ask you this
Always
question,
the
kind of to
goat,
go.
the goat, the goat.
Right.
LeBron James.
Okay, there we go. So kind of to go. Do you think it's crazy? Or and I may even show some videos of what we're talking about because Connor may not even be familiar with this. But do you think it's insane for your child to be sent to a prom send off? With the things that we're talking about. Would you rent a Lamborghini or a Bentley for your child to be sent off to prom? Maybe it's just me. And that's why I want to have this conversation. Let's just go back to the young man who was and I don't know if you're familiar with this story, and I'll like I said, I'll do video and show it. But the young man who had the cash, the wad of money, stacks of money, went to prom, and after prom, I guess he was followed. He was ended up being robbed and shot and killed.
Mm.
All through his prime, all because of his parents set him up for this whole. Basically, his parents set him up with this ordeal. Because the kids are not having his money. It wasn't his money. More than likely, it was the parents' money who set him up with this prop. And they allowed for this to happen. Give me your thoughts on that. Do you think the parents are doing too much, being irresponsible? Trying to keep up with the Joneses. Because that's all this bullshit is. No other race does this shit.
We the only one doesn't. And the reason why the parents are doing it because they are living their life to their children. This is something they wish they could. It's something they wish they had. Sometimes I live my life through my kids. I wish that when our kids is doing things that I wish I could have done. It's like me living through them away. But listen, the thing is that the parents is caring more about the image too. That's my kid. Look at my kid. So when they kids is flexing money, driving these expensive cars, it's making the parents, it's people thinking what the parents do. If you can't afford to drive that car on a regular basis, you can't afford it. And you shouldn't be riding it. There's absolutely
my video that I did yesterday.
No way I will rent me a vehicle that I cannot afford to pay on if I wanted to buy it tomorrow. Absolutely would not be a vehicle that I will take pictures in that I cannot afford personally. That makes me, I feel like back in the day, we would call that stunting. You stunting, nigga. You can't do that. You stunting if you doing something like that and you can't afford it. You will become perpetrating, stunting. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, you wonder why people laugh at us. You wonder why we don't have reputation with the government, why we don't have a senate and government and mayor, and why nobody really represent us, because we are a token of a joke. We are a joke in most communities because they know that we don't want to put the work in and get it for real. So we will pretend it's a joke, and I'm against it, and it makes us look
Yeah.
silly. It makes us look silly. And it don't matter if you got the money, because if you got
You
the
know, and I
money
agree,
and you
and I agree
doing
with
it,
you 100%.
if you got the money and you still
It's
doing this,
ridiculous.
it says it still have the same effect. You don't have the money and you living this way, it's wrong. If you got the money, you still shouldn't be doing this. People with responsible money or have money do not behave like this. You know what they
At
used to say?
all. You know,
Act like you got some money. Act like you've been here before. So
but
that's
you'll
where I'm at.
have, you have a lot of people coming on here. You have a lot of black people coming on here disagreeing, and saying those things. I can do what I want to do with my money. I can send my child off, but at a point, is it just doing too much? And then, like I said, the parents that was, it was not only the young men, it was some young women. I'm getting ready to show this video, so hopefully this video we won't have any issues. I just want you to see some of this buffoonery, that was going on. So, but here we go. So it's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. Today we're going to be talking about these this 2026. Yeah. I'll show the video and then I'll get back to my. So I'm probably going to stop that because Joe. West side. Ain't nothing to side. Ain't nothing to hide. Southfield. West side. Ain't Southfield. Joe. Southfield. Okay, Joe.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hold on. Yes, I went ahead and stopped. I don't know if you were able to see. Yeah, I don't know if you were able to hear or see
I
that.
have.
I don't know what's going on.
I already seen the video already. I seen it. My brother
Yeah,
said that to
where
me.
you got this young man in a Bentley, flashing, maybe tens of what it looks like, tens of thousands of dollars, and you got motherfuckers that sit up and rob people for a living that's watching that. A young man just lost his life a few weeks ago over the same situation where we just saw in these videos. So me, man, I think it's I think it's ridiculous what these parents are doing. They're setting their children up for failure. At the own thing at one at the and this is what I said, man. What's wrong with being regular? You got kids that can't even that go to the same school, that can't even afford this bullshit they were sitting up doing. So what type of example does that look like when other races look at this type of shit? We're the only ones that's doing that, so I just want to bring this to the forefront, man. It's a horrible thing.
It's silly. But we can't help it because it's the black culture now. It's toxic. It's our culture now. So it's just our toxic. It's our culture now, and people accepting that. And the thing is that
crazy, Joe, we allowing the rap culture to influence us to put these bullshit ass props for our children prom send offs. Because that's exactly what it looked like, man. It looked like a pretty much a rap video. They just needed to slow it down. That's it.
Well,
It
more
was
than that.
ridiculous.
But listen, think about how many kids right there cannot afford to go to college. Think about all the kids that's there right now with them videos right now. That's gonna probably end up broke make and in a few years. Shit, now them people in Southfield, they be having some money now. I used to be a manager of a Tim Hortons in Southfield. Those
Right.
families, they do be having some money. So they're not broke families, most of them. And but I will tell you though, the ones I knew in Southfield didn't carry their stuff like that. Real money, real money, you don't have to flash.
Right.
When you got real money, you ain't gotta do all that. It's gonna be very
I'm
clear that you
gonna
got
be
money.
honest, Joe. I didn't even think this shit existed until about a year ago when I actually started hearing and seeing things about like this. Because like I said, I'm old school, man. I rented a tux. My date, she came in the dress that she had on, which was nice. I don't think it was a Louis Vuitton, and things like that. It was a
Hmm.
regular dress. We got
Yeah.
the same Camry, a '94 Camry was the year I graduated. And we went to the prom and had a great time. It looked like Joe maybe
Can you
having
hear
a
me?
few. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I
All right,
hear
go
you.
ahead.
So yeah, man, I did not know that it had got to this point until a year ago, Joe. My daughter went to the prom
It,
maybe a few
it's been like
years.
this for a long time. Actually, this ain't
Yeah,
new.
it had to be less than 10 years because when my daughter went to the prom, she had on a regular dress. They went in a rented car, and it was no shit like this. I just don't understand.
I rented my stepson a Tesla. He said he wanted his car. I didn't buy his car was down. So we rented him and
Okay.
I didn't have him drive my truck. Not this year. We're talking about 2 years ago. I rented a
Right.
Tesla that I got for free because I'm a VIP member with Enterprise because I was renting so many cars through Enterprise. So they gave me a vehicle for prom night. And I had to pay nothing.
And don't get me wrong. Look, there's nothing wrong with renting a regular a Tesla is I'm not gonna say it's a
Eh,
regular car, but it's still a regular
No,
sedan.
we
It's
didn't we
not a
didn't we
sports,
didn't get
it's
the
not a
big one.
foreign car, what these young
We got
folks are calling foreign.
we got the smallest vehicle, and he needed a vehicle to get back for the prom. He just got his license, and I didn't want him to drive my car because I had things I was doing in my truck. So I let him. I got a rental that was free, that didn't cost nothing. And if he didn't get the Cybertruck, he got the smallest one I could think of. If it wasn't free, he wouldn't got it.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. Right.
And
So
we
I
didn't
don't
do all that to
understand
stunt.
why parents
He
feel like they and, and,
he didn't
and
take.
it's almost
He,
like what you said, Joe. The parents are trying to live their dreams through their
yeah.
children. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with that, but at the end of the day, some of these parents are setting their children up, for failure. Thinking that this is
Hmm.
this is life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
This is not real life.
And
So,
you know,
go ahead, Joe.
and, and then what prom does is giving you an imitation of what wedding is. I seen people look like they was getting married with the dresses, with
Yeah.
the outfits on. This is one you probably want to wear to your wedding, and most of us will never see that. This might be the only time we will see some setting like this, because we
All
we
right.
we we're not getting married. So we not. This is what you do in your marriage. If you want to go out for your marriage, I even give you that credit. Do that, but don't do this for no prom. You teaching the kids to live a life that is not a real, and you care more about the Instagram and the Photoshop. You don't care
And
about the
that's it, man.
kids, and the
At
kids ain't
all.
ready.
That the whole prom send off with all that shit that they were showing, Joe, it's taking away from the memorable night that they should be having, which is the prom. You know what I mean? That
And
whole
then,
shit, they probably spent more time setting up for all those props and doing all that shit than they actually spent, enjoying themselves, enjoying the company of their classmates and enjoying the whole prom scenery.
think about how much money they spend on this, and how many you think of them kids right now has a scholarship paid for their school. Think about all the money they spend on these proms. Most of them kids right now
I saw one prom. They in the projects.
Yeah.
You in the projects with a Corvette?
Yeah, and I
Look
just
like
let you know, man, that
look like the high riser, the high riser from the Wire. The Wire.
yeah, man. We
God
listen.
damn. We
We just let you know, man. We got our as a group, man. We have our priorities fucked up. Um, we spend money in areas where we shouldn't be spending money in. You know, like you said, they could have been going towards, college fund, or getting ready to go towards college or sending you off to college. You know, versus you spending tens of $1,000s on a prom send off. You know, but if you got it, hey, it is what it
do
is.
it.
It's your
Do what you
money. To
gotta
me,
do.
it's just setting a bad example, for the children of tomorrow, and young parents coming up. It's setting a bad example for new parents. We got to get out of this. We got to get out of this bullshit. It's a bunch of, it's a bunch of bullshit. No one else does this but us, and it's a bunch of
Yeah.
buffoonery to me, at the
And
end of the day.
and then we have and it's mothers. And it ain't the fathers doing this shit. It's mothers. It's black mothers doing
Yeah, I
this.
mean, and I'm not going to disagree, because it is, but you have a lot of
Just think
fathers that
about it.
was out there joining in that bullshit too, but yeah, we definitely, I just want to talk about that for a little bit, man. It's gotten out of hand. I think the parents need to reconsider, because a young man lost his life, out there flexing with a wad of money, portraying what they see on these rap videos, because that's all it looked like, man. In those videos that looked like a prom send off, to me, in my opinion, was nothing more than a rap video. That's it. We got to get our children, we got to get our kids' mindset out of that bullshit. That
And
is not life. That is not real life.
we are in a materialistic.
Yeah, but look,
We
man.
are
Yeah,
we, we are in a
go ahead.
materialistic uh country. This is a materialistic culture. Black people, we have a materialistic issues, and we do 'em. We are really. I don't know if people really knows how much we are laughed at, and we might think that's cool. We might think we stunt. We might think we flossing. We might think all that stuff. But I'm one of them guys that talk to white people, and I swear to you, the questions they be asking me, is ridiculous sometimes. I just can't answer it. I hear these conversations and they talk. We are the laughing stock of the world. We think we
No,
doing
I agree.
something,
Because I
but
have a
we
lot of
are
friends
really a
too that
joke.
ask me the same questions. Like, so, what was the reason? They'll just ask you. Like, why do you think it was necessary to rent a helicopter for your child going to the prom, to a prom send off, or a graduation, versus being able to spend that money, on sending her to college, so we do a lot of things that's unnecessary, that's
Army
ridiculous,
truck
and just
coming off an
yeah,
army
things
truck.
like
Come
that.
on,
Who
man.
does that? It was a girl who came in a Barbie doll box. It was holding on to a pole in a see-through box. I don't know if you saw the video, but it was just ridiculous, man. Don't get me wrong. I love the charisma that they had, but it was just over the top, and we need to get away from that. We need to go back to being basic, man. Sending our kids to prom to enjoy their night, not to be out there showboating amongst each other, because it probably was for those kids who were out there enjoying that and doing that, that was indulging in that. It probably was hundreds more of kids who could not afford to be able to be out there doing that, so therefore that's a bunch of bullshit, man. It needs to go back to being basic, regular rental cars. If most a limousine, whatever happened to to those days, Joes, we need to get back to that. But look, I'm not going to beat on the bush too much, man. I
Okay.
want to
All
get
right.
to one more conversation, man. Let's talk about this Floyd Mayweather situation, man. Floyd Money Mayweather, your boy, been crying that he's been broke, man. He allowed for a so-called good friend of his to come in to be his financial advisor, who had a year-long scheme by associate that was his, that drained his account, on bad real estate deals, Find some
Mhm.
jewelry over 150 million that only came back to like $13 million. And just bad financial advising with his money, man. It's been talked about over the years that, Floyd, I'm not going to say couldn't read because I didn't play off into that. Floyd never said that. He never said he couldn't read or was illiterate or nothing like that. But you had a lot of people that one of his best friends, 50, man, he allowed out of all, and I won't even get off into that. That's another conversation, but my opinion, do you listen, all the bragging and the flossing and the stunning that he was doing, man, I knew, I'm not going to say, in my opinion, do you feel sorry for him, man? Do you think
Mm-mm.
what he's going through, do you feel sorry for this man? Because
No, I
he
don't
was
feel
out there
sorry for him.
buying at all.
He
It's crazy. I
he
can't believe.
buy 100, got 100 cars. They were all worth about 10 million, 2 or 3 million each. I don't feel sorry for him. All the jewelry, flossing, calling some money Mayweather. It's cool.
It's gone. It's all
It's
gone. He
gone.
got a jet that he bought that he don't even know what a jet is right now.
That's what I'm saying.
And I just don't
It's
understand that, man.
it's it's,
We allow,
it's nigga shit,
and what's
man.
so crazy
And
about this, man? Look, it was so many black financial advisors that he probably could have gotten behind him, and I
Boyce
don't want to
Watkins,
make it to
one of
seem
them.
like it's a racial thing, but I let me say this, Joe. I listen. Our stars and athletes always allow for certain groups of people to get behind them, to be their financial advisors, and at the end of the day, man, they end up broke. But guess who end up with all the money? The actual financial advisors and the actual what is the other name for the guys who take care of the money for the athletes and things like that?
You got agents.
I forget what.
Um,
Yeah, they're agents. The agents and the financial advisors always walk away with the money. Give me your
it's
thoughts on
no,
that. Why
it's
do our
no,
athletes allow for
it's no
a group of
reason
men to
for
attach themselves to them? We end up broke, and they walk away with all the money.
there's no reason for Floyd Mayweather to be broke. He had Warren Buffett as one of his advisors. Do you know that? Do you know Warren
Yeah,
Buffett
I didn't know
was
that.
one? Yeah, Warren Buffett was a very close friend of his. Was teaching him how to invest. He had Warren Buffett as one of his people he can call and talk to, and he didn't listen to him clearly. He had a right amount of people around him. He needed people like Boyce Watkins as one of the guys as a PhD in financing. That's the guy who they
That's
probably should have went to.
one of the guys I listen to this day. No,
If
but
I
man,
ever,
why is that, man? Look, why is it that people like Floyd wouldn't allow for a guy like Dr. Boyce Watkins to be his financial advisor? He allowed for, and don't get me wrong, I believe this guy was a Jewish guy, and most of our athletes, NBA stars, athletes, these agents and lawyers are Jewish, are
the
Jews,
reason
I
why,
should say.
the
And they
reason
allow
why,
these guys to get behind them, and I'm not going to say suck them dry, but at the end of the day, most of these guys end up broke with no money.
well, the reason why they go to them Jews, and everybody should know that Jews are blood sucking leeches. That's they are. Where do you think the Jews make most of their money from? Where do
Yeah,
you think they make their most
I
money? They
know
make it on us. They get rich on us.
exactly.
So
And
everybody,
and and, I,
it,
and let me say this. I'm gonna let you talk, Joe. And I don't listen. I've been studying this for years. With our athletes, mainly our athletes. We allow for these lawyers and these agents to get behind us, and at the end of the day, they walk away with all the money. Why is it that? Why is it we don't understand that, Joe? We still allow for this shit to happen.
because we and the Jews don't really stop you from living your life, do what you want to do. What they do is they'll send you to somewhere, one of them. So if you want jewelry, there's a Jew right now that own all the jewelry. They send you that way. If you want
Right.
cars, they if you want financing, banking, the Jews will send you to their people. So they gonna
So pretty
all
much
get
what you're saying is they gonna help you spend your money in the wrong way
yeah,
versus
yeah.
helping you um um make money on top of your money.
Yeah, and they're gonna recommend you to. Everybody see a sucker when everybody see a sucker when they see
See
it.
a sucker a mile away, and like they say in that
Hell
saying,
yeah.
man, a fool in his money shall depart soon.
And he did everything. Listen, you know damn well if you buying and all these vehicles that worth millions of dollars each, and jewelry the way it is, and clothes, and doing all this other stuff, you know you're gonna go broke. He only fight once every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and they talked about that on the morning show. That career was over with maybe 10 years ago, so Floyd was not getting big fights. I think his last fight was with with one of the Connor boys, the white boy.
That was
A few years back.
maybe his last
Yeah.
major fight. Yeah, but
Yeah, that was his
you
last major fight. And that wasn't even a sanctioned fight, but it still was a good money fight. So you have to be able to adjust your life to how you're living. He still was out there trying to live on that facade that he was Money Mayweather. Living a life that spending money that he really didn't have.
but
and allow
it's like
people. Go ahead.
it's like a WWE character. You know how it is with wrestling? They all got to live a certain character. Like $1 Million Man, he had to live a certain character as the $1 Million Man. He didn't have all that money for real, but he had to act like he did.
Yeah.
Ric Flair was the same way. Ric Flair went broke, trying to live as profile, diamond rings, Rolexes. Ric Flair, woo, right?
And what and it goes back to what we were saying earlier, Joe, and you hit it right on the button, man. All the so-called important people that he hired to be around him, like his financial advisors, agents, they allow for him to go out there and spend this money recklessly. No one told Floyd to. I mean, it got to look. Did this man not check his banking account, Joe?
Well, with that kind of money, you got to hire people to do that for you. But the people that he hired had his best interest. Sometimes you got to have the ones who can teach you how to make money and the ones who are going to tell you no. You got to have all of them in the same corner. You
Because
got to
I'm
have
say
a
this, man.
check and balance.
You don't have to have all the agents and financial advisors in the world. Especially if you a type of person that see the Floyd. His problem was he was out there spending more money than he actually had coming in after boxing. Because when he was out there boxing, before he retired, he was able to live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, he did not have the right people behind him that had his best interest. He had a bunch of snakes in the grass that helped him spend that money and did not advise him on how to invest in his money the right way. And this happens to a lot of our athletes, man. Hopefully this will be a lesson learned to the young. And I will say this: most of the younger athletes coming up in today's, sports world, they have invested in some right ways, so I will say that. I'm not going to say all, but a lot of the older athletes, they've learned the hard way, so hopefully this will be a lesson, to the next Floyd Mayweather coming up. Look, you have to be able to trust people that look like you, because sometimes you may want to get away from people that look like you. We have this stigma like don't have no nigga behind you taking care of your money because you're gonna end up broke or he gonna fuck it up. But look what happened to him at the end of the day, Joe.
I don't know if he really broke. I don't think he broke. I think he's not wearing watches and driving on Lamborghini rich like that no more. But I don't think he broke. I think he probably still got a few millions left, but I don't believe that he's broke.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say he's broke, but what he's saying is that the millions is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's out of here.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that he's not rich like he was, but I don't believe he's ever gonna be where I'm at.
And not saying that he can't get he'll never be able to get because at one point they said Floyd was worth $1 billion. He'll never get that, and I'm not going to say what he'll never do, but in my opinion, I don't think he'll never get to that point again, because he's not fighting those fights. But he will be able to make millions again because he has a fight schedule. If I'm not mistaken, with Pacquiao. And a lot of people will pay to see that fight. So hopefully you'll learn this lesson and be able to take that money and invest it and be able to make some of this money back and recoup.
Well, here's the thing. Every time he gets into that ring right now, it's not to make money. It's to pay out something. He's not fighting right now to make money. He's fighting to pay out something. He's in debt. You don't fight in your 50s because you love the sport. You fight in your 50s because you need the money. He's not. He ain't. This ain't about him.
Joe.
He owe money and he has to find a way to make some.
Well,
and it's the IRS. It's the
IRS. The IRS, and then not only that, it was a strip club that he owned. He ended up having a child by this woman, and it was a lot of money that he had to pay in child support too, over $1 million, that I'm hearing. That's crazy. The money, and even with this child support, and that's going to be another great situation. A great conversation to talk about. How can a man? Yeah, that's ridiculous. That'll be another conversation that we'll have. But look, man, hopefully this will be a lesson for, like I said, for the next upcoming Floyd Mayweather's, that's going to have money out here, man. Look, you have to watch your money. You have to watch who's investing your money. And sometimes you have to do it on your own, man. You can't put. I'm not going to say you can't put trust in everybody, but sometimes you have to, put trust in some. You have to put trust in somebody. So, at the end of the day, why not trust someone that looks like you? Because at the end of the day, man, what's been going on with a lot of our athletes, we've been getting robbed blind by people that do not look like us. I'm just going to be honest.
So I'm going to say it different. And this is where we're going to have to be different at. I don't
Go ahead,
think
speak your mind.
I don't think that's necessary. You got to get somebody that look like you, because my biggest rivalry that ever happened to me was somebody always looked like me. The thing is, you got to get the right people in line with the right backing. It don't matter if they look like you or not. Floyd Mayweather, he had people that look like him that was in his corner, but that's not the problem. Who look like you? You got to have the right people around you that have the track record of making money, not the one who just look like you.
Well, I'm gonna say this, Joe. Floyd thought he had the right people behind him who was making money, and this guy ended up backstabbing him in the end.
So it's you got to have people that have credential, have people who got insurance, and It ain't just about person. You got to go with these big corporations, like people who do, there's corporation that's there.
Yeah, like Merrill Lynch. I agree with you. He should have probably went with a group like that. Yeah,
he probably did.
So hopefully, man, at the end of the day, this will be a lesson with Floyd. All the buying jets and shit. Because my question, I was just talking about that. Do you think he's going to be buying riding in private jets, or he's going to be flying coach or first class, Joe?
He'll still be in first class, but it would be on it will be on this airline called Frontier.
Right. Okay.
It won't be no more
PJs. No more PJs.
No. Maybe Delta. He'd be back on Delta, but he ain't. Okay. He's not going with a private jet no more. He gonna sell his jet, or at least rent it out if he has one. But I don't see him having that lifestyle again. Once you fumble that type of bag, you'll never get that back.
No, at all.
You don't get that kind of money
back. When you're not making the money that you were making when you had that bag.
And he could never make that kind of money again. He can't box. He's not a boxer that can box. You don't get better. You get older. You get older. You get slower.
No, he's past his prime. I agree. Floyd ended his career undefeated. He's actually getting ready to put his undefeated record at risk. because of his financial problems. So look, this should be a lesson learned, from like I said, for all the new and upcoming athletes that's coming up. Like Joe said, it don't necessarily have to be a person that looks like you, but he gave up on the people that look like him and went otherwise, but you have to put people who have credentials, people like Merrill Lynch and things like that,
then
deals with money.
if you do want somebody that got money like or look like you, then you got to go with somebody who got a track record of that has a license and that's backed and licensed and verified. And that would be
And
somebody
like
like
you said, at the end of the day,
Boyce
have
Watkins.
insurance on. If you don't, if they do fuck up, you getting some of your money back.
Yeah.
Floyd's not getting none of that money back.
And Boyce Watkins, he is the guy that all black people should go through. I think that man
listen,
knows money.
I've been following Dr. Boyce Watkins for over 15 years. I don't understand that. Why is it not a lot of our black entertainers and athletes are not going to this man?
Because he's going to tell you no.
Advisory.
You don't need a $1 million chain. He's going to tell you no. He's going to tell you no on spending money on jets and Bentleys and stuff and buying mansions that you only be there 3 days a year on. He's going to tell you no. He's going to tell you no that you can't buy everybody in the hood that you was friends with a fucking house. He's going to tell you no. He's going to tell you no on buying this jewelry. He's going to tell you no that you shouldn't do this. So the lifestyle that they want to live, Boyce Watkins is going to teach you how to be rich forever. These people want to be rich for the moment. They want to be rich for the moment. They want to look rich for the moment. They want an Instagram. They want to stunt. They want everybody looking at them. Boyce Watkins is going to teach you. He's going to teach you to be disciplined. And guess what? Black people we as black people, including myself, we have a hard time with the word discipline. That's all it is.
No, we do, man. And I will say that even me, and I'm not exempt from that. I do things that, I spend money on things that I probably should not spend money on. And I just come from bad examples of that. Being a great, having great financial advisory. And that's
me too.
I'm the same way. So I'm still learning that, and hopefully, Floyd got too much money, had too much money not to be learning he should not be learning in this way, losing that much money to the point where he pretty much was kind out of a lot of the shit that we're talking about. But look, man, it was a lesson learned. Joe, give me your last thoughts on this whole Prime send off, and this whole Money Mayweather, at the end of the day, losing a lot of his millions, his fortune that he had. Let everybody know where they can reach you, man, and what you got going on.
My name is Joseph. Again, you will see me on Facebook anytime. You can always message me on Facebook. It ain't hard to find. Joseph No. You see the title. You see the caption, my name on it. But just again, with the come to money, you can tell who have it, who used to have money, and you can tell who don't. And the Prom send-off tells you everything you want to know. Them Prom send-offs represent. Them Prom send-off tell you everything you need to know about the parents. You want to know, you want to learn, you want to know about them parents, how they are, watch the Prom send-off. It will let you know everything you need to know about them parents, mama and dad. You want to know?
Hey, man, you said everything.
Watch the Prom.
You said it. Right. You said everything that I didn't say on my short. Because really, I'm not going to say I didn't want to offend people because I'm not on here to make friends. I'm on here to tell the truth. But and you said everything exactly. I'm not going to say 100% right, but in my opinion, that was 100% right.
Yeah, that's it. Really,
we have a lot of parents that do a lot of unnecessary shit and trying to live a lot of their dreams through their children with these Prom send-offs. There's no reason why we should have saw that many Corvettes and Bentleys on a Prom send-off for children.
Yep. And it's just we all know that them kids are already on a below level of education, and we know that the kids are not necessarily prepared to leave home. You know, if they have if all that money you spend, can them kids be able to take care of themselves? Or do you invest money from the time they grew up into different accounts where it's collecting interest, and when they go to college, they have a full scholarship paid for because of scholarship to school and because of money that you put up since they was 1 years old? If you can't say none of those things, why the fuck are you doing that?
Yeah, you know, and I just don't understand it, man. You know,
If your kid,
I would have
if your kid died
I would
tomorrow, do you guys start a GoFundMe? Or you gonna have money put taken care of for the kids die? I know if my kids die tomorrow, I don't need
yeah.
a GoFundMe. If I die tomorrow, you don't need a GoFundMe. If my wife died tomorrow, there's no GoFundMe. I wouldn't need no handouts, no GoFundMe. We gonna be all right over here.
Yeah, see, and that's another conversation. You know, that's all we hear about. You know, in the black community when someone dies is a GoFundMe. You know,
Ain't
we've
go-
done multiple shows. We've done multiple shows on that with BJ3, who's actually a financial advisor, and does life insurance. You know, I'm insured through New York Life. You know, so and that's that'll be another conversation. But yeah, you know, we hear and see a lot of that. You know, throughout the black community.
Mm-hmm. So, that's it. But again, you can see me on Facebook anytime you want. When you do another show, man, similar to this type of topics, man, let me know. I'm always gonna be available. When you want to talk about
Oh,
things,
for
man.
sure. You know, anytime we have these type of topics or conversations, I'm always going
Yeah.
to bring you in. Make sure you go over on Facebook and check out Joseph Knows. He always
Yeah.
has interesting conversations and topics over there
Controversy.
all the time.
Controversy.
Definitely controversial, you know, and that's why I had to bring him in on this conversation today because he made a comment. His son recently graduated, and he made a comment. Joe, can you read out the comment? Can you read the comment that you made again? That would actually wanted me to bring you on this show. You made a comment on, you know, I'm at my son's. You know, I think it was kind of on the sense of I'll let you. I know you know it, so I'll let you read it off.
Yeah, I would have to find my I don't have my laptop with me,
Well,
so
I can tell you. Maybe you'll
yeah, read
remember.
it, read
It
it,
was kind of on
read
the
it.
short of this. You said I'm at my son's graduation, and it's kind
Yeah.
of it's in the suburbs, and I don't see that one.
Bentley. Want no
What's the car?
Bentley, no
Yeah, I don't see one
Ferraris,
Bentley or Corvette. Yeah, or
Corvettes,
Ferrari.
Ferraris, and
Yeah,
no cars that's 300,000. No cars that's 300,000.
exactly.
And the one thing that I saw was black and white families driving their personal vehicles, driving their cars, the kids driving their personal cars. These cars are old. Some of them like a 2010 uh Pontiac or something. It was nothing. Some of these cars, you could tell different families had different cars. So one kid was driving a dad old Cadillac, you know, truck, but it was
Right.
like 8, 9 years old. I didn't see nobody in there driving a 2025 nothing,
Yeah.
2026,
See,
anything like that.
and
I
that's
didn't
going to
see
be
none of
another
that.
conversation that we. Yeah, and that's going to be another conversation that we're going to have, man. We have to get our children, our peoples, out of this mindset that we have to have certain things or have to
Mm-hmm.
spend this type of money on this shit, you know, or be flashy or
Yeah.
glittery. You know, that doesn't make you as a person. You know, we have to get that mindset out of our people heads. You know, but look, man, at the end of the day, it was definitely a great conversation.
For
You know,
sure.
in my
Yeah.
opinion, I think the parents are you know, doing too much, going overboard with these prom
Okay.
send-offs. You know, we just have to go back to being where we once come from, you know, being basic. You know, prom is a night that's celebrated for your child to have a memorable night with
Mm-hmm.
him and his prom date. You know, not to be out there flexing, showing off fucking wads of money, showing off cars. You know, more than anything, it was a fucking video shoot. That's what it looked like to me.
Out
You know,
and
so
Dan,
we have go ahead, Joe.
I thought you was going to get into the conversation about these kids and these graduations. I thought you was going there too.
That's for another
Oh yeah,
conversation.
for sure, man. It's all the same.
You know,
It's the
because
same
I
concept.
recently did a show last year on a graduation where a young where it was a shooting, and I think you may have came on the show with that. You know, but even the
Okay.
graduations have gotten out of hand. You know, and this is graduation season next.
Yeah, you're right. It's graduation season next. Some of it graduate early,
Yeah.
depends on what state you in. But
Right.
yeah,
So it's getting
man,
that.
for
So
sure.
more
This
talking conversations on the
all right.
graduation is getting ready to come up.
That's
So I'm definitely gonna have you on that, man. But look, I just want to bring you in, and talk about this topic, because it's gotten out of hand, man. We have to get this shit under control. This is what proms are not set up for. This is some niggery shit that we got to get out of. Excuse my
yep.
language, but I'm just keeping it real. This is not you know, what we are used to seeing on proms, and we have to get out of this bullshit. So look, I want to thank Joe for coming on. I want to thank everybody
Appreciate
who
you,
made
man.
a comment, Skeeterman 218, Connor to go, and everybody else who made a comment. It definitely was a great conversation and a good show. And at the end of the day, man, I do shows that I try to make a point, and I try to send a message out, to the youth and to our people, and just to everybody. So look, at the end of the day, it was a great conversation. I want to thank you again, Joe. We're going to have many more conversations. And look, I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Your boy is knocking on the door of 1,000 subscribers. It was the goal that I set out 2 years ago when I started this YouTube thing. So I cannot do it without you guys hitting that subscribe button. So please make sure that you hit that button. It's another one. It's your boy, Dame D, and I am out.
I'm out, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you too, Joe.